So let's look at creating some graphics using different shapes and the Shape Builder tool, and putting these graphics into these shapes. You can work out here or inside, it doesn't really matter. For this, I'm gonna begin out here. So I'm just gonna start by going into the shape tool, and if I click and hold, I have a few shapes: rectangles, circles, polygons, star. So I'm just going to experiment now. If I press the arrow going up, I can add to the amount of sides to this. A quick way to make a duplication, I'm going to get the selection tool. Now I can select a shape and move it around. And I can press Option or Alt on a PC, Option Mac, Alt PC, and you'll notice that the arrow is black and then it changes to double arrow. So if I click and drag, I can make a really fast duplication. The way that this is being colored right now is a black stroke and a white fill, which is fine for now because I'm not really dealing with color. So I'm just gonna make some duplications of stuff and make some different shapes. And then from there, so notice I have to go back to V, the Move tool, in order to select, press Option, and then duplicate. So I can make a lot of duplications. If I want to rotate this, I can just go on the side. If I press Shift, it locks the rotation. So I can do 90 degrees. So maybe I'll just do some random things for now. I can extend this. I can stretch things out. Resize, going from the corner. Okay, so I have enough stuff here that I could just start playing with it. Before you use the Shape Builder tool, you need to select what you want to have affected. So I'm going to select both of these, this area. So what I'm doing is click and drag a box around something. If I don't like this selection, I can click off of it and do that again. I'm pressing Command plus to zoom in. Now let's get the Shape Builder tool, which is here. I want to trim this area, so I'm going to press Option. Look at the arrow, it becomes a minus sign. Now if I click, I just cut a hole into this shape. I want to take, I want to add some spiky things to this. So I'm going to take, I want to take off one of these spikes. Or maybe it makes sense to make this bigger. And then put the circle that now has a hole in it into the center of that. You can see that it's behind this other shape. If I do press Command Y, I can see and select what's behind. I want to take this shape that's behind the other shape and bring it forward. Object, arrange, bring to the front. Now this shape is in the front. Let's do some shape building in here. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to take the Move tool, select everything, And let's get the shape builder tool. So I want to cut this out and I want to combine those two parts. So all I have to do is click and drag. I'm going to click off of it. So now I just made this little more complicated shape out of some other things that happened. Okay, now let's go over here just so I have more stuff to work with. I can rotate this. So I'm just working really abstractly, which is something you can experiment with. And not really thinking too much about it. Just kind of just experimenting, right? So let's select all, and we're going to use the shape builder tool again. I'm just going to combine everything here. A quick way to combine everything is if you go to Window, Transform, Window, Pathfinder, and we have a few shape modes. This first one means unite, and it's just going to, it's like a cookies that are in baking sheets, and the cookies were too close together, and then they went in the oven, and then they all melted together, and then you have one giant big cookie. So that's basically what that does. And let's take this. Okay, so that just compound everything together. Now look, it's a group. This was not part of that. I need to ungroup that. So we'll do Object, Ungroup. And now this is separated. And I'm going to use this to cut, like a cookie cutter, cut out of this shape. So let's select both of them. Shape Builder tool, and I'm going to press Option in order to cut. Okay, that's pretty good. I'll take this one and let's use it to make some more, do some more to this strange shape. Okay, and we're going to unite everything. And maybe I'll take this and use it, make a copy. I'm going to use this to Shape Builder tool. We're going to do some more trimming. And maybe, so I'm using the selection tool to click and move. Now let's get the Shape Builder tool, and I'm going to get that, and I'll take that out. No, I like that. Okay. All right, so I have some weird shapes. Let's put them in the triangles now. I created these shapes with other shapes, and I just compound things together, right? At this point, it makes sense to start changing your fill color. So I'm using the Move tool to move things around. Let's change the fill. I'm just going to use a gray for now because I don't know what colors I'm going to use yet. But I'm going to make some copies of this shape by selecting it. You can also do Command or Control C and Command or Control V to copy and paste. Now I have a duplication of this shape, and I can play with it and make different sizes of the same shape and put it where I want. In this design, I am creating imagery that my shapes overlap the edges, right? This is my triangle, and the design needs to be contained inside this triangle, but I want to have some imagery that's on the edge, and I will show you how to navigate that as we go forward. But for now, let's just take this, and that's going to be the inside of my of this image. Now I have to trim off these parts, so I selected the whole thing. Let's get the shape builder tool, I'm pressing Option to trim, and I'm going to trim off the areas that are hanging off the edge of that. All right, and then let's put this one in here. Pretty abstract shape. I used E, which is, so E is the free transform tool, going from the corner, pressing Shift and clicking and dragging down so that it stays proportional. Maybe I decide, actually, I want to stretch it out a little bit. And for this one, I want this to not touch. So let's have one, this has something that's touching the edge. In here, I don't want anything to touch the edge. So I'm going to take this triangle. Let's go to Object, Lock, Selection, also Command or Control 2. Now I'm going to use a rectangle, and I'm going to take the rectangle and use it to trim off areas of this that I do not want. So now I can select that, take the Shape Builder tool. Remember, to use the Shape Builder tool, you need to have it selected. Press Option and click, and now that stuff is trimmed off, and I can do the same thing here. So I need to select both of them, click and drag to select both, Shape Builder tool, pressing Option to trim. Alright, now I have a design that touches the edges, but the edges, the overflows trimmed off, and then this one is contained inside. For good measure, I'm going to add some little circles here and there for my design purposes. Think about, triangles are really interesting shapes, right? So really think about the negative space, and spend some time with this, having fun. Really think about the composition, the repetition, the scale, the negative space. One thing that might help you, let's unlock this triangle. Object, Unlock All. I'm going to take the triangle now, and let's swap the color of the fill and the color of the stroke. Having a colored triangle like gray or black is going to help you to really think about the negative space a little bit more. So I'm just copying stuff, pressing Option, click and drag, just kind of copying things and making it kind of decorative. Okay, so we've got two designs now made using the Shape Builder tool, only and only shapes.